Minister and guest of honor present here, distinguished Vice Chancellors of the University of Nairobi and Makerere University, distinguished professors, experts and trainers, my learned friends and participants, ladies and gentlemen. I am glad today to be joining the University of Nairobi and Makerere University in the implementation of this very timely partnership with us here at the African Legal Support Facility. As you all know, the African Legal Support Facility, ALSF, is a public international institution that is hosted by the African Development Bank, AFDB Group. At the ALSF, we are dedicated to providing legal advice and technical assistance to African countries in negotiation of complex commercial contracts and other related sovereign transactions. We also develop and propose innovative tools for capacity building and knowledge management. In this partnership, we are joined by the African Natural Resource Center, which is a non-lending department of the ADB with a mandate to assist African nations maximize development outcomes derived from natural resources. All of us here at the ALSF and ADB are glad to have our mandates and interests to support African countries all converge with those of East Africa's premier universities. For purposes of this particular week and training for our legal experts, the emphasis is on environmental, social and sustainability considerations in natural resource contract negotiations. It is important because the upstream stage of the extractives development process is complex and involves various stakeholders and several moving parts. It involves investors, governments, local communities, and others. The process also requires land and access to scarce natural resources such as water. Upstream development of extractives also leads to involuntary displacement and resettlement. The environmental impacts include removal of biodiversity and generation of solid waste, effluent, and air pollution. In spite of those challenges and risks, development of upstream extractives is pursued widely by investors, governments, and communities because the resources, which includes oil, gas, and minerals, raise significant revenues for governments and propel economic development. Having seen the damage resulting from irresponsible management of such extractives, it is important that African countries put in place and enhance technical capacities to ensure extractives contracts integrate sustainable development considerations. With respect to Kenya and Uganda, the two countries have already discovered commercially viable deposits of oil in recent years and have already considerable experience with mining. Both countries are therefore familiar with the dangers of not actively integrating environmental, human rights, and social considerations into extractive contracts. The ALSF has been supporting African countries to negotiate fair and balanced contracts, as well as develop and enhance the capacities of African lawyers and officials to advise their governments accordingly. We are therefore very happy to have here today many of East Africa's lawyers working on different elements of upstream contracting from a public, private, and civil society perspective, as these two countries need innovative solutions that encourage the needed investments in extractives with sustainable results, and I emphasize again, with sustainable development. This partnership and the capacity building program we are holding this week is timely and serving a practical purpose. The lawyers present here will continue to encounter challenging questions that require progressing investments while protecting the environment and human rights. This training program has been specifically designed with these realities in mind. We have no choice but to act carefully in order to protect the environment, biodiversity, and human rights, and the extractive industry needs in order for our development to be sustainable. These considerations are required during contracting, implementation of contracts, civil and criminal monitoring of compliance, and resolution of disputes. Because at the facility, we also recognize that it's not just a matter of concluding the natural resource contracts, but it is also important for the governments, lawyers, both from private and public sector and civil society, to be able to follow up on the responsibilities of the miners or extractors of oil and gas to ensure that they sustainably exploit those resources. In conclusion, we thank the University of Nairobi and Makerere University for partnering with us and identifying with our mission of building the capacity of African countries to negotiate complex transactions, contracts, and other related sovereign transactions. Those of you present who seek further career in this area also have an opportunity to access material that we have loaded onto our alsfacademy.org, which material you can use for furthering your careers in this area. It is my hope that this marks the beginning of a long and fruitful partnership with real impact for Kenya and Uganda and the continent at large. I wish all of you a successful week in training. Thank you.